Hey guys, Aac here. Welcome to my tutorial on how to record PC gameplay. A few months ago I made a video very similar to this, talking about Fraps, Shadowplay, Dxtory, and Sony Vegas, but since then I have come across software that entirely invalidates those programs. The first piece of software I'm going to be showing you is called Mirillis Action. I love this program, it has entirely replaced Dxtory for me. I'm going to give you a quick tutorial, show you the settings you want, and show you the settings that you don't want. The top left is where you click to choose what hard drive you wish to record to. You have three recording modes. The first one is the in-game recording option, so this will attach the program itself to the game you're playing. The second one is to record your desktop. And the third one is to record a specific window size. Below that, you can choose the file format you wish. I have three options, you may have more. The first one will always be AVI. This makes lossless huge file sizes, so I don't recommend this. The second one is MP4, and the third one for me is MP4 NVIDIA Nvenc. This is amazing, is one of the biggest selling points of this software. This is the codec that Shadowplay uses. This means you can record with no frame rate loss, very small file sizes, and still have good video quality. I recorded in 1920 by 1080 at 60 FPS for an hour the other day, and the final file size was 11 gigs. That is very good. If you're on the AMD side, you will be seeing the AMD equivalent to this codec. I can't help you if you have an AMD GPU, but note that that option will be there. You can also use Intel QuickSync. I don't have this option because I don't have integrated graphics since I'm running on the 2011 socket, but that will also be an option. But I'll be focusing on Nvenc today. The video size or the resolution you want to record in, you can choose anything you wish. If I left this at original, since I have a 2560 by 1440p monitor, that's the size I would be recording to, but I prefer to record in 1080p. You can record at a different file size or a different resolution than what you're playing at, just like Dxtory. The video frame rate, you can choose whatever you wish. I leave it at 60 because that's all YouTube can handle. Make sure this is checked. Record system sounds. If you don't have this checked, you will have no video game audio. Allow multi-channel audio recording. Make sure this is not checked because a lot of video editing software does not like this. Sony Vegas, for example, if you throw that recorded video with this checked into Sony Vegas, there will be no audio timeline. You will have no audio at all. Below this, you have the microphone and 4 different options. You can have it not record your microphone at all. You can have it always record. You can have push to talk, or you can have toggle push to talk. So you push a button and then it'll record your mic until you push it again. Now let's go over to this gear over here. The first page you can ignore. The second page, this doesn't really give you a whole lot of options as far as video quality goes, but the video quality is still pretty good, so I'm not complaining too much. You just have low, normal, high. I leave it on high. And then the bitrate, I wish it would actually tell me what bitrate I was recording at, but I just leave it at 100%. Make sure use multi-core recording is checked, and you can move on to the next tab. This is another huge selling point of this software. This is the whole reason I even found this software to begin with. So before I was using Dxtory and I wanted to record a face cam. Well, Dxtory doesn't have that option. It never really has. If I wanted to record a face cam with Dxtory, I would have to use it in conjunction with a piece of software like XSplit or OBS, which is what I'm doing right now, recording with XSplit. XSplit is not favorable on your frame rate. It takes a lot out of your hardware, so it's not really much of an option, and the only other option you had is to have a camera or another piece of webcam software recording at the same time as your video game recording software, and then you'd have to edit it in later, and that's kind of a pain. But with this software, you can record your webcam in the actual video game file itself. So in the final part of, say I'm recording a game, my webcam will be in that recording wherever I want it to be. Just like your microphone, you have 4 options. Don't record your webcam, always record, record push to talk if you will, push down a button, your webcam will record, release it, stops recording, or you can have it as toggle, and this is the one I prefer. You can choose any of your webcams, including things like face rig, so if you wanted to use face rig as a face cam, You could do that with this software. You can choose what corner you want the webcam overlay to be, and the video size. So you can choose the corner and the actual size. I have it at 16%, and this seems to be perfect for 1080p recording. You can also have numerous webcams, so if I wanted to add in more than one, I could go ahead and do that. Down here, I recommend you keep this checked unless you have 2 people in the webcam. If I had 16:9, most webcams nowadays are 16:9 aspect ratio. They record in 1080, not 1080, they record in HD, so 720p or 1080. This webcam I'm using right now is actually much wider. If I was recording like I should, just default, there would be another 2 feet of space on each side of me, and that obviously takes up more of the screen than you want. By selecting 16:9 to 4:3, this forces this to go letterbox, so it won't be a rectangle shape, it'll be just square. So it'll take up less of the video game, and I recommend keeping that selected because what else is to my left or to my right? There's nothing over here. And then down here, if you click this, this will give you a preview for what your webcam will look like, including size and all of that. So you don't have to go into the game to make sure that it's all good. Next one over here is to your microphone settings. I have my headset selected, and the volume you can turn up and down. And it also has this option. I love this because Fraps and Shadowplay doesn't have this option. Dxtory does, but until this point, Dxtory was the only software I had seen that had this option. Record a microphone into separate audio track. What this means is that when I record a video with my microphone, the video game sound, and the video game itself, and I throw that into a program like Sony Vegas or Adobe Premiere, the video game sounds and my microphone sounds will be in 2 different tracks, and I can change the sound of them separately. So if the video game is too loud, I can just turn that down in the post-processing, in the post-editing, so it's not a problem. Audio device, this is what say your speakers, sound card, whatever you're using. And this is a cool option. I should have this at 70% because my microphone is usually quieter than my speakers. You can balance this in. So say the speakers are too loud naturally compared to your microphone, you can just make the percentage like I do, 70% microphone, 30% speakers, so it automatically balances that in. And then your bitrate, I leave it at 320. That's about perfect. Here, this gives you some pretty cool options. Do not record HUD in games and applications, so this won't show you the recording HUD. If you deselect this, it will. And then down here, this is a pretty cool one. Show recorded webcam preview. If you don't have this selected, you'll have no idea what your webcam is recording while you're recording, so I recommend you have this selected. This also allows you to show whether it's toggle or not. If you are recording and your webcam is in black and white, that means it's not recording your webcam. When you push the toggle button to record your webcam, color will come in, you know it's recording your webcam, which is a really cool feature. Down here, you want the selected, use hardware acceleration for video encoding, NVIDIA Nvenc. You can also use CUDA as well, but I think they've dropped support for that. And the rest you can ignore. And then here is just all the different hotkeys. F8 for me is start and stop recording. By default, it'll be F9. I prefer F8. I've gotten used to that. The option for recording your webcam, F4. So when I press F4, it starts recording my webcam. When I press it again, it stops. So not much more to say here, these are just all your hotkeys. This also gives you the option to stream, which I'm not going to fully get into, but I can also confirm while I'm streaming this is lossless. I will not have any frame drops while streaming, which I never had before. XSplit and OBS are not favorable to me, they will always give me frame rate loss. This does not. It works like Shadowplay where you won't drop any frames at all. So when you select Enable Action Live Streaming, if you push the record button, this will suddenly be a streaming button. You won't be recording, you'll be streaming. Unless you keep this selected, record streamed video to disk, so you can be streaming and recording at the same time, but I don't want that selected. And then you also have your video size, you can stream up to 1080p. Your frame rate, you can stream 60 FPS, which I can confirm does not lag. And then the bit rate, which only goes up to 12 and down to 6.1. I found that 9 is good enough for streaming to YouTube or Twitch or whatever you're doing, so I left it at that. And then you can choose whatever streaming service you wish. So hey, there you go. There is Mirillis Action. Very good piece of software. But now you've recorded something, how do you get it to YouTube? What do you do then? I have found a much better rendering method than Sony Vegas. I had a problem with Sony Vegas because Sony is stupid and does not support NVIDIA GPUs in the rendering process after the 600 series. This means that when you're rendering a video using Sony Vegas, it will 100% be using your CPU. Obviously, this is not favorable. It will take a very long time to render. To give you an idea, a 1080p video at 60 FPS, it will take roughly 4 times the length of the video to render. So if it's 10 minutes long, it will take 40 minutes minimum. That takes forever. But I looked around and I found a much better way to render. This new rendering method uses Adobe Premiere, so if you're like me, you were using Sony Vegas before and you're going to have to reteach yourself how to edit videos, which kind of sucks, but it's definitely a worthy trade-off. So let me go ahead and open up Adobe Premiere and open a new project with a file I recorded in Mirillis of Far Cry 4. Let me go ahead and find this file. Just go ahead and drag and drop it into the timeline. Let me go ahead and make these timelines a little bigger so you can actually see them. Alright, so this is what I meant earlier. This first timeline here is the video game video. The second timeline here is the video game audio. And the third timeline here is your microphone audio. So if the video game is too loud, you can just turn it down and problem is solved. So let's say I want to make a 5-minute clip out of this video I recorded. Let's just go ahead and cut it right about here. Cut that out. Alright, now I want to render this 4-minute video. How do I do that? Well, you can do it like most people. Click File, Export, Media, choose H.264. This will make an MP4 file. But there's a better way than this. This requires a third-party plugin. And I'll put a link down below to all of these downloads in the video information. As you can see here, someone has made a plugin for Adobe Premiere that uses the Shadowplay codec, which is amazing. This results in very fast rendering times, about a quarter of the length of the video length itself. So if the video is 10 minutes long, it'll take like 2 minutes and 30 seconds to render. That's a very, very short rendering time. A 10-minute video in Sony Vegas with no GPU acceleration, that would take about 40 minutes. So this is a huge improvement. Go ahead and scroll down and get to the downloads, which are right here. This is at the very bottom of the page. Click this, it will start downloading the actual plugin. Click this, the TS Muxer, to download that. Click this for MP4 box. And then you will need this, which is an Aac Codec. So for MP4 box, here's the downloads. This is 64-bit link, so if you have a 64-bit operating system, download that. Here's TS Muxer. The download is right there. And this one's a little bit pickier. So here's the Aac Codec. When you first open this page, this will pop up. You can ignore that. You will scroll down to the bottom, click I agree, and it will want you to put in your email. Well, there's a way around this. Unselect this, and it will still try to force you to put in an email address. So if you click download, it'll pop up saying the email address is not valid. Well, there's a way to get around this. You can just type in anything as long as it looks like it's valid. That's all that matters. So let's just type in random letters at bullshit.com. I'm still getting used to my mechanical keyboard, so typos all over the place. Click download and that will work. So now it's downloaded. You don't actually need to insert your email. Don't do it. You'll just get spammed. Alright, so now that I got all this stuff downloaded, what do I do? First, open up the actual plugin itself. Go to Start My Computer, your C drive, your boot drive, Program Files, not 86, just Program Files, Adobe Premiere, scroll down to Plugins, Common, and this is where you should drag and drop this right in there. I already did that, so I won't do it again. And you should do the same with the presets. Just drag and drop all that in there. And that's all you got to do for the plugin. Now the other tools you need, I didn't want to actually close that. The other tools you need, first one is the Nero Codec. It's just a codec, so install all 3 of these exe files and make sure you put them somewhere on your hard drive where you know where they are, because you're going to need to select these again later. So keep them. Keep them somewhere that you will remember. This is MP4 box, so just double click that exe and install that. And then TS Muxer, go ahead and install these as well. And be sure to put this somewhere on your computer where you remember it. You will need this later. Once you got that done, everything is installed, you're pretty much good to go. So let's go ahead and open back up Adobe Premiere. Let's click File, Export, Media. Click on the format, scroll down, and now you should see something that says Nvenc Export. This is what you want. Output name, let's change this. This is where you want this to render it. Let's put it as test number 2. Click save, and now it's going to render to that location. For the video tab, these are all the presets. You shouldn't need to mess with it until you get all the way down to here, which is the resolution and frame rate setting if you wish to change those. 1920 by 1080, 60 FPS, I'm not going to change it. The rest of these you don't need to touch, except for audio, and this is important you do this. Click Audio, AAC, and this is why I told you to remember where this is installed. Click this button here. It's being a little bit weird because I'm recording with XSplit at the moment. Give you a moment. There we go, fixed. Go to where this is installed, where you put it. I personally threw it in my plugins folder. So it's right here. It'll be Nero AACENC.exe. This is what you want. Select this. And I turn my bitrate up to 320. Once you've done that, you're good to start rendering. When I click export, I get an error, and if I ignore it, it works fine as is. I don't know why it does this, to be honest. But as you see, click export, error, ignore, and then it renders fine. So this is very fast. This is a 4-minute video. While I'm recording with XSplit, keep in mind I'm getting a little bit of a hardware throttle because I am recording with XSplit, which is not kind on your computer. Usually it renders faster than this, but still, a 4-minute video with XSplit open, rendering minute and 20 seconds. That's very quick. Definitely much faster than what you would usually see while rendering with Sony Vegas. As I mentioned, a 10-minute video would take 40 minutes minimum. A 10-minute video using this method would take about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Very fast. So let's go ahead and wait for this to be done rendering. When it is done rendering, another window will pop up, a little script window. This should happen, do not panic. There's the window I was talking about that would pop up. Again, this should happen, don't panic. And there you go. Now, you're not entirely done. You have one more thing you need to do. Go to where that video was rendered. And you should have 2 different files, a M4A file and an M4V file. So from here, you need to open up TS Muxer. Click Add. Select where it was, come down here and click All Files. Select the video file first, then click Add, and add the, again, this is being weird because of XSplit. It usually doesn't do this. After that, select the audio file, the M4A file. Come down here, change the language to English, then click M2 TS Muxing. And the file name where you want this to actually be made, I'll put this over to my local disk. And then click Start Muxing. And it should quickly make the video, it shouldn't take that long at all. There you go, it's done. Now you have a fully made video. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. There it is, test 2. The video is made, and now you're ready to upload it to YouTube. There apparently is a way to make it so that you don't have to use TS Muxer later, but I have not been able to figure this out. But in general, I'm very happy with this method. It takes no hard drive space, it renders incredibly quick, good video, as you can see, great video quality, if anything better than my Sony AVC version I used to use. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with this method. I hope it's helped some people. I'm very happy with this software. I have been looking for a way to record a face cam without it being overcomplicated or really have a big frame rate hit, and just to make my life easier as a whole. This is definitely going to do that. So again, I hope it's helped someone. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.